Character is on the ballot. Compassion is on the ballot. Decency, science, democracy, they're all on the ballot. Who we are as a nation, what we stand for, and most importantly, who we want to be, that's all on the ballot. And the choice could not be more clear.
That was Joe Biden on the last night of the Democratic National Convention after he vowed to unite a deeply divided America and lead the country to, quote, overcome this season of darkness.
Host and founder of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, joins us now to weigh in on Biden's remarks and what the DNC revealed about the party in general, and especially for progressives. Always great to see you, Cenk.
Good to see you, Cenk.
Good to see you guys.
So just give us your thoughts overall here.
Yeah, so first of all, Biden was, in the immortal words of Larry David, pretty good, right? I'll take it. We just got to get to the election. 2.5 months and counting. Let's go. We're sitting on honestly a gigantic lead. And if Joe Biden is healthy, then the Democrats should absolutely crush the Republicans in the fall. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. But in terms of the DNC overall, there was a couple of standout moments like Barack Obama's speech, and I'll shock the world here, Mike Bloomberg's speech. But other than that, it was close to a nothing burger. And I know that's what they wanted in a sense, because they're playing prevent defense. But it reminded me a little bit of the 2004 convention, where we had a monstrous president and the Democrats spent an entire convention without hitting him. The whole convention, I kept thinking, hit him, hit him. You have a target-rich environment. You should be annihilating this guy.
So what missed opportunities do you think they had beyond that? We talked a lot here about the speaking time and, Bernie, obviously, and the whole AOC thing. From your progressive perspective, what did you see in that front?
Yeah, there's a couple of things here. First of all, they had more Republican speakers than progressives. And if you're trying to motivate people to vote, and that's what they did through all 4 nights, vote, vote, vote. Oh, my God, text a series of numbers to vote, vote. And they're like, oh, by the way, for half our party, we don't care, and we're not going to really show you much. But here's a lot of Republicans. So I think that was a mistake. But I'm not. That's a fairly common point. I think a lot of folks think that, except people in Democratic leadership who think it's genius because they think there's going to be a huge wave of Republicans voting for them, which is not going to happen. We're lucky to get 10%, but luckily we don't need more than 10%. And we'll still landslide them under that scenario. But mainly, you got to tell people, you got to make your case. And if we had a progressive, we could actually make our case. We're going to get everybody health care. We're going to give your kids the American dream through College for All. We're going to get you higher wages if you're minimum wage, and which unfortunately is a lot of folks in this country. We're going to double your salary, right? So, but Joe Biden and the Democrats can't make that case. So I get that part. But the other half is that guy's a monster. He's an idiot. He's a total buffoon. Don't vote for the buffoon. Your life depends on it. And they barely touched him, in my opinion.
And Cenk, do you think that these deficiencies that you're pointing out leave Joe vulnerable in the fall, or do you think it doesn't matter? Like, does he not need to reach out to progressives because Trump is that bad? Is the fact that it was maybe the most devoid of policy convention that I've ever seen. There was next to nothing said while we're in the midst of a pandemic, while we're in the midst of a Great Depression. Like, all of these things are happening. People need immediate help. And we get through an entire convention without hearing much about healthcare, hearing much about jobs, hearing much about keeping people in their houses, any of that. But does it matter ultimately, or is it just enough this time around? It wasn't in 2016, but this time around, is it enough to just sort of be against Trump?
Well, the reason we didn't hear anything about policy in this convention is because Joe Biden's main theme is nothing will fundamentally change. Okay. That's why you have a convention filled with no policy, because he's not planning to change any of the policy. So every once in a while, somebody would say paid family leave. And I think it was said twice out of, 28 hours of convention or however long it was. It certainly felt that long. And I was like, oh, right, that's right. Joe Biden is theoretically in favor of paid family leave. Well, that's good. Why don't you tell people? Okay, anyways, but there's not much to tell. There just isn't. Corporate Democrats don't want to change a thing. They think the status quo is awesome. So that was a terrible strategy in 2016. And if you guys remember, I was screaming that from the rooftops, you're going to lose. That's a terrible strategy. This time around, Trump is Beelzebub. He's so loathsome. He's such a terrible, terrible person, terrible president, terrible leader, horrific in every way, that Joe Biden just basically has to exist. And that's enough for not only a victory, but potentially a landslide.
So that's the interesting part, though, Cenk, which is that if he does win solely on that platform, what does it mean for the future of your movement? Which is that if he wins without you, without any substance whatsoever, as somebody who's been trying to push him, how are you going to get that done, since he doesn't owe you anything necessarily?
Yeah, it's old school way of thinking of politics. So the minute Joe Biden's elected, the protests, the activism, and primarying whoever's going to run in 2024 begins. It begins on day one. No quarter given. So look, just because I want to get rid of Beelzebub doesn't mean I'm on your team. And Nancy Pelosi showed that brilliantly just the other day, where she came out and was like, oh, you remember that rule we had about how we don't challenge Democratic incumbents? I was just kidding. I meant I hate progressives. So I'm in favor of challenging the incumbent Ed Markey in the Senate with a more corporate Democrat. Okay, well, thanks for letting us know who you are. And if you're a progressive in Congress, she is not your friend. She's the one killing Medicare for all, Green New Deal, and getting money out of politics. So we got to get rid of Trump because he's an existential threat to democracy. That's not hyperbole. Here I am, a huge progressive, telling you it's not BS. It's not an establishment trick. He is an actual threat to democracy. But the minute you get rid of him, game on. Let's go. And I'm not going to listen to any corporate media hack tell me I have to be nice to Pelosi or Biden. We're going to come for them, and we're going to demand change.
So, Cenk, obviously, I agree with you. And obviously, I see very clearly that Nancy Pelosi is an enemy to the things, and not just like not an ally, she's an active enemy to the things that we care about and that the American people frankly deserve. But on the flip side of, look, the corporates, they have solidarity all day long, right? She gets in for Kennedy. Pramila Jayapal comes out and endorses Kennedy. All of these establishment types fall in line. Bernie demurs, stays on the sidelines, right? Pramila Jayapal, like I just said, who supposedly is progressive, comes out for Kennedy. So how do you have faith that there's going to be this actual uprising and that the leaders that we elected here in Washington are actually going to do anything and challenge them when we just really haven't seen it?
So listen, Bernie is sometimes slow to endorse folks in the primary. And given what happened with my endorsement, I don't blame him. Okay. And there's a world of heat that comes on him and the press hates him. And so it's a bit of a special circumstance. But do I hope that he endorses Markey? Yes, definitely. And he should. But honestly, I did not hear about Jayapal until you just said it. And so Jayapal endorsing Joe Kennedy is a massive disappointment. And I'm here to tell you right now, if you're a so-called progressive in Congress and you think you're going to get along with the establishment and you guys are all going to be in the club and you're going to forget about the people who elected you and you're all going to hold hands together and not vote on Medicare for all or Green New Deal, you got another thought coming, because I don't care what you call yourself, we'll also come for you. So their power resides in the people because they don't take corporate money. Okay. Well, if you think Nancy Pelosi and Joe Kennedy are more important than the people, you are sorely mistaken, and you will find that out. So I know their feelings get hurt by stuff like that. Oh, why can't I just vote with Nancy Pelosi on PAYGO and help defeat Ed Markey, who was brave enough to be the sponsor of Green New Deal? No, you cannot do that. If you do that, then yes, we will be furious with you. So it was a terrible mistake by Jayapal. And if she wants to have her feelings hurt about that, I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Well, a warning indeed.
Cenk, last thing, I want to let people know what you're up to now. You've launched Rebellion PAC. What's the plan and where can they learn more?
So, look, the Rebellion PAC is perfect for this moment, not just because we're going to hit Trump way harder than any Democrat does. Why do we leave it to the Lincoln Project? Why do we leave it to Republicans to hit Trump down hard? What is wrong with the Democratic Party? You're running against a monster. Hit him already, okay? So Rebellion PAC's going to hit him and hit him hard. But it's not just about that. In fact, it's mainly about progressives. It just happens to be that Trump is the president right now. So when they did a smear job on Alex Morse in Massachusetts running against corrupt corporate Richie Neal, we immediately jumped in and maxed out to Alex Morse. When Nancy Pelosi backs Joe Kennedy over Ed Markey, we immediately maxed out to Ed Markey. So if you're a real progressive looking to defend progressives and to put new challengers to challenge the corporate corrupt Democratic Party, then Rebellion PAC's your PAC. We're going to go get them. When next time around, actually including these races, when you hear that the Rebellion has joined a race, well, that corporate Democrat or Republican, be warned, we are going to come for you and we're going to eliminate you.
Well, where can they find more, Cenk?
Yeah, helptherebellion.com is a great way of finding out more. Rebellionpac.com. So make sure you check it out. And if you like what we're doing, we are no holds barred. We're not a Washington PAC where they all sit in a club and have tea and crumpets together. We're actually representing the people. When we say rebellion, we mean it. We will do a rebellion within the Democratic Party. We will take it over, and we will have them represent the people like they're supposed to. And when we do that, we're going to rout the Republicans, and we're going to fix things that are wrong in this country. And things are deeply wrong. Do not believe the establishment. The status quo is terrible.
Cenk, always great to see you. Thank you so
Cenk.
much.
All right. Thank you, guys.
A lot more rising for you after this.